Hey everybody, welcome to the Addiction Unlimited podcast, where you get to learn everything you want to know about addiction and recovery. I'm your host, Angela Pugh, co-founder of Kansas City Recovery, life coach, and recovering alcoholic. To learn more about me, you can listen to episode 0 on your podcast app or find us on the web at addictionunlimited.com. Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode number 128 of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. I'm your coach, Angela Pugh, here to help you solve the sobriety puzzle to live alcohol-free and feel great about it. I can't wait to catch up with everybody and see what's happening in your world. And I need to come clean with you about some things going on with me in my world. This actually ties in perfectly with today's topic. Are you being private about your recovery, or are you keeping it a secret? And this doesn't only apply to recovery, and we'll definitely dig into all those details here in a minute. There's a huge difference, though, between keeping something private and keeping it a secret. Last week, I had my own little aha moment when one of our listeners, who I adore, he is an incredible member of our Facebook group, and he's such a breath of fresh air, always uplifting other people, always has something positive to say. And he sent me a message asking me if I was okay. He noticed I hadn't been posting on social media for a while, Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else for that matter, and he was worried about me. Now, let me tell you, for me, getting this message was really amazing because I am not a person that people worry about. You know what I mean? I'm super independent and self-sufficient, and I have a strong personality, and I'm just not someone who requires worrying about. At the same time, it was so nice to get a message like that, just checking in on me. It was so thoughtful and kind. And the fact that he actually took time to send a message instead of just thinking about it, like all of it was really good. And I so appreciate it. So let me tell you what's been going on and why I haven't been posting on social media, because I'm sure if he noticed it, some of you have noticed it too. The simple truth is I was pushing myself way too hard to do way too many things, and it just isn't sustainable long term. When coronavirus happened, it impacted my business in a big way, much like it impacted everyone in a big way. And instead of restructuring things, I put myself in a position where I was doing everything myself. Planning the podcast, recording and editing the podcast, getting guests for the podcast, creating social media posts for 10 pages, writing all the captions, keywords, hashtags, blogs, posting and being engaged in the Facebook group, doing live videos twice a week, doing webinars and trainings, and writing and researching content for the membership site on top of my actual clients that I do sessions with every week, my 6-week program that we just started a new group a couple of weeks ago, paperwork, emails, returning phone calls, and I have a whole other business also with 2 sober living houses with guys who I'm managing on a daily basis, making sure they're safe and happy and answering all those calls and doing those interviews, managing those households and moving new people in. I mean, it's a lot. And it's certainly a lot for a person to do by myself, right? I have a little bit of help. You know, I have my assistant who is fantastic, but with coronavirus, she even went down to part-time. So that level of performance and energy can only last so long. And I hit a wall. I was exhausted and overwhelmed. And I knew I had to take a step back from something because I couldn't continue at that pace. Like I just literally could not keep up anymore. And at first I thought I would just take a couple of days off and get some sleep, right? Focus on exercising and eating really good food to fuel my body and rebuild my energy reserves. And that was the plan, like a couple of days. What happened was when I let myself sleep in a little bit, like each day I would wake up at 6 a.m. instead of 4:30. And I was realizing that I was even more tired than I thought. Even sleeping in and taking time to spend with my family and not being so hard on myself, I was so tired. And that's when I decided I had to get a new game plan in order. I needed to give some attention to my recovery, my brain and my body. I needed to connect with people again, and I just had to take some time off. Now, when I say take some time off, that doesn't mean I didn't work. It doesn't mean I took a vacation and I was laying on the beach drinking virgin pina coladas, okay? Me taking time off means I only worked 40 hours a week instead of 80. And I had to get clear on my own vision. All that stuff that I teach you to do, I did. I went 100% back to basics, just like I tell you. I got clear on my priorities. I hired a new coach to help me get clear on my vision and what I need and to put a plan together so I'm not so overwhelmed. I got intentional about how I'm spending my time and energy. I got connected with my tribe to have support and fellowship, just like I tell you is so important. I also drew some boundaries for myself to protect my well-being. I drew some boundaries around some people in my life who are not so healthy and supportive, and I love them, but with them not being healthy and supportive, I need to be around them a little bit less right now. I love them dearly, but I don't need the negative energy, and I don't need anyone else's sort of anger and sadness about life. So I have to have some healthy boundaries there. And listen, there have been times that people have had to draw those boundaries with me. There have been stages of my life where I've been angry and bitter and struggling. And I'm sure people had to hang out with me a little bit less, right? It's just part of being human. But I stepped back and I got quiet. I needed rest, clarity, support, and just some fresh energy. And that's what I've been doing the last few weeks. And it has been incredible. Like, I feel so good. I have been so happy just not being so overwhelmed with all the social media stuff. And I'm getting ready to get back into it, but with a fresh plan so it's not, again, so overwhelming. And the crazy thing is, I didn't even realize how run down I was until I allowed myself some space to rest. And that's when I realized I needed way more rest than I thought. But I'm so grateful for this wonderful friend who reached out to check on me, because it really was so nice to know someone cares. You know who you are, my friend, and thank you very much for your kindness. And this is the perfect segue into our topic about the difference between being private and being secretive. When you're on this side of the microphone and this side of the camera, it's easy to paint a picture of really having it all together. We post our best pics and our best outfits and our best hair days. And you can really build this picture to the outside world like everything is fine all the time. The important part of this for me is that's what I did in my drinking life. I went out of my way to create this picture for the outside world, to hide what was really going on the inside. And if that was my behavior when I was drinking, then I definitely don't want to have that same behavior when I'm sober. That's old behavior. And old behavior doesn't belong in a new life. That's why you'll see me in our online recovery meetings with no makeup, hair up in a crazy bun, sometimes even straight from the gym, sweaty and unshowered, because that's my real life. That's why we have these conversations about other issues and compulsions with food and relationships and codependence and lying and manipulating, because that's the truth of life. I have changed so much in my sober life. I've become a whole new person and I've built a beautiful life. But that doesn't make me problem-free. I can get sad just like anyone else. You know, my anxiety can be crazy sometimes and I don't leave my house for a while. I get tired and grumpy and lonely just like you. Now, I definitely know how to manage it better at this stage of the game, right? My lows aren't as low because I know how to work through it and I do all the things I teach you to do. I have a tribe for support. I have tools I use every day to keep me healthy and strong. But that's the only difference between you and I, is maybe I've been practicing recovery a little bit longer so I can get through things a little quicker. But that's it. It's just practice. And I never want to hide those pieces of myself or my life because I don't want you to have a false sense of who I am either. I don't want you to think that I'm invincible and I'm doing everything right and I've got it all together and I don't have any problems, because that's just not true. I'm a human being. I still have problems. I deal with all the same stuff you deal with. I just cope in a different way because I have a little more practice. And I don't want to be living a double life in my recovery like I was in my addiction. Bigger than that, I don't want you living a double life in your recovery because you'll set yourself up for failure. There is a difference between being private and being secretive. Not everyone who quits drinking is going to start a podcast and shout from the rooftops that they're sober, right? I get that. I understand that many people want to be private about those details, and rightfully so. You don't have to share it until you're ready to share it. What I want you to be aware of is the difference in protecting your details and hiding your details. Being private is totally appropriate in a lot of situations, especially when you're newly sober. You're just figuring it out. You're getting comfortable with a whole new lifestyle and a new identity as a non-drinking person. You're figuring out how to navigate your family and friends and jobs and social life. There are a lot of things going on that are new and different, and sometimes stressful and painful. It's no different than any other major life change, right? If you're going through a breakup or divorce, you may keep that private in the beginning as you're figuring things out and caring for your family. If you lose a job, you may need to take a minute. Let all the feelings settle. Let the shock and fear settle down before you start sharing it with family and friends. It's okay to be private and focus internally and share your details with this select few people who love you and support you. It's being secretive that can be harmful. Because when you're hiding the details of yourself and your life, it's because there's some shame around it. I don't want you to know what is going on in my life because I'm embarrassed about where I am and who I am, so I want to hide it. That's being secretive. That's when it gets dangerous. This is why some people struggle with the word alcoholic, because they have a view of shame surrounding that word, like it's a bad thing to be that word. So instead of being private, we get secretive. We don't want anyone to know who we really are and what we're dealing with because we fear they'll think we're bad or weak, because on the inside, that's what we think about ourselves. And this nature of being secretive isn't specific to addiction. We get secretive about our relationships and what's really going on behind closed doors. We get secretive about our feelings in our lives, our disappointments, the level of overwhelm we feel. We get secretive about our children and some of the struggles our kids have. We get secretive about our health and lack of health habits. We get secretive about our finances and our credit scores, right? And when you add all this secrecy up, it's no wonder so many people are feeling crappy and have high anxiety and want to isolate. because we're hiding huge pieces of our lives from one another. This is the same behavior I had when I was drunk, hiding my truth, hiding my real identity because I was so ashamed of who I was and what a mess my life was. I definitely don't want to be doing the same thing in my recovery, right? Being embarrassed and shameful of who I really am will destroy me from the inside out, and it did. That's one of the things that fueled my drinking, to numb how awful I felt about myself as a human. That's what I want you to be aware of. Are you being private or are you being secretive? I also don't want you to feel pressure about labeling yourself alcoholic or calling yourself sober. You don't have to use any of those words if you don't want to use them. We've talked about it in many episodes, different ways you can talk about not drinking without labeling yourself anything. I certainly don't care what you call yourself, right? Because the words to me aren't what's important. What's important is that you're taking action and making choices that are good for you to improve yourself and your life so you can feel proud of who you are instead of feeling ashamed. You can easily say like, oh, I'm not drinking right now. The last couple of times I drank, it just didn't sit well with me, so I'm just not messing with it right now. Or you can say, oh my God, I got so tired of hangovers, it's just not worth it anymore, Or, oh, you know what? I'm not drinking today. I've got an early day tomorrow and I really need my energy to be good. Or, my stomach has been a little upset today, so I'm going to stick with water. I just started a new meal plan and alcohol isn't part of it. I'm training for a marathon, or I'm working out really hard right now to get in shape, so I'm laying off alcohol. Right? There are so many ways you can talk about not drinking that don't have to include any labels or words that you're uncomfortable with. At the same time, you aren't hiding anything. In 12 steps, we say you're as sick as your secrets, or secrets make you sick. Because you can't feel good about yourself and make strong, healthy choices when you are lying and hiding who you are. Those two things don't go together. Just like I say about drinking and self-esteem, right? I couldn't do something, or smoking cigarettes. I couldn't do something on a daily basis that I know is hurting me and causing me harm and have a healthy self-esteem. Those two things don't go together. When you have a healthy self-esteem, you protect yourself, you care for yourself, you take care of yourself. Again, you don't have to share all the gory details of your drinking history or your drinking drama. I don't walk up to people and shake their hand and say, "Hi, I'm Angela. Let me tell you about the time I thought I killed someone because I crashed into them drunk." No, my friends, that's not a conversation starter. And it's none of their damn business. But I don't hide it and I don't lie about it. I share my story when it makes sense. But I'm also not going to sit at a party or a dinner or at the pool and hide the fact that I don't drink. I don't drink. And I deserve just as much space and comfort at the dinner or at the pool as all the drunks do. I'm not going to try to be something I'm not. I'm not going to hide who I am. I can be private, but I can't be ashamed and hiding. And the truth is, we tend to make way more of these situations than other people do. Most people don't really care if you're drinking or not drinking. They may offer you a drink being polite, but they don't really care if you have one or not. You guys hear me talk a lot about connecting with the tribe. You have to have some people who know what's going on with you. People who know what's important to you and they accept and love and support you. In the beginning of your recovery, if you want to protect your privacy and be discreet about the changes you're making, it's still important to have a tribe in real life. You can have a bigger tribe online with our community and our online meetings. And you still need to have a few people in real life that know what's up. Maybe a sibling and your best friend and your mom, or maybe it's your spouse and best friend and closest coworker. It's important to have a few people in real life because you will need their support in your journey. You have to have people to feel safe with, to spend time with, that you can talk to and be accepted as a non-drinker. That's being private. You intentionally choose a few people to share your truth with, and you're private about your personal details with acquaintances and others. You're still being honest and open while getting comfortable with your own private transition, but keeping a secret is something different. It feels like hiding your truth. You don't want people to know because you're scared of what they will think, and you're scared of what they will think because of what you think. You feel ashamed and embarrassed and judging yourself negatively, so you think others will judge you negatively also, so you hide. Secrets are always about shame, and that's the part that is so dangerous for us. It's the same behavior I had when I was drunk, presenting a certain image to the outside world while I hid the real truth behind closed doors. That's why I felt like a fraud. I was living a double life, and it was a lie, and that fueled my drinking. So, when you're getting sober, it's super important to find the happy medium. It's so important to not continue that double life. If you want your life to be different, you have to do things differently. There's a strange time in the very beginning of sobriety where we struggle to leave the old drunk identity behind and we move into a new identity of a sober person. It feels uncomfortable at first because we lived as the drinking person for so long. It's hard to trust and believe that we're the new person. Part of this is because we carry so many of those old behaviors into our sober life. It's hard to feel like you're building a new life when your behaviors and actions are the same, right? This is what I want you to think about. If you showed up late as a drinking person, then make it a point to be on time as a sober person. If you flake on plans with friends, stop flaking. If you blow off phone calls, start answering them. If you lie, start telling the truth more. If you pay your bills late, start paying them on time. If you tell yourself how difficult and challenging your life is, start telling yourself all the things you love about your life. When your kids are driving you crazy, pick all the wonderful things about them that you love and adore and focus on that. This is how you show yourself and others that you're becoming a new person. If you tell yourself you're going to exercise and blow it off, then start showing up. Don't put any crazy expectations on yourself that you're going to go to the gym every day and you're working out for 2 hours. Stop with all that. If you tell yourself you want to go, then go. Get on the treadmill for a few minutes. You don't have to go super fast or uphill. It's just important that you show up for yourself. Think about all those behaviors that go along with the unhealthy version of you and start practicing doing those things differently so they align with the new, healthier version of you. We want to feel good about ourselves and our lives so we don't feel the need to hide and keep secrets. And this takes practice. The sooner you start practicing, the sooner you'll get better and feel better and see improvement. Let's think forward to what you want your life to look like and the person you want to grow into, instead of focusing on the negative things and who you used to be. I don't care if who you used to be was just yesterday. Today is a fresh start. Today, you get to build the person you want to be. Start practicing. Be private if you need to, but don't be secretive. hiding who you are, because that will continue to fuel your addiction and shame. And that's exactly what we don't want to do. I want you to think about this and be honest with yourself about what you're doing. Are you being private or being secretive? What small behaviors can you start working on today to make the shift into fresh behaviors that support your fresh new lifestyle? Let's build that life we don't want to be secretive about. Give it some thought. Are you being private or are you being secretive? And if you want to have more discussion with us after the show, make sure you're a part of the Facebook group. It's totally private. The only people that know you're in there are the other people in there. And it's a ton of support with a great recovery tribe. And of course, I will link that in the show notes. I'd love to see you there. Have some good conversation about this topic. Are you being private? Are you being secretive? And that's all I got for today, you guys. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next week.
You've reached the end of another great episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. Candid and honest conversation about addiction and recovery. Be sure to visit us at addictionunlimited.com to join the conversation and access show notes and links to everything we talked about. Love this episode? Please take 30 seconds to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes to help us improve and give you the information you want. Thanks for listening. See you next week.